When hikers found a 5,300-year-old frozen body in the Alps, they thought they had made a historic discovery. But they didn't realize that everyone who touched him would start dying. In 1991, in the Alps, on the border between Italy and Austria, 2 German hikers were making their way across a glacier. As the ice melted around them, they noticed something dark sticking out of the slush. It wasn't an animal. It wasn't a rock. It was a human arm, perfectly preserved, reaching out from the ice. They had just found the oldest intact human body ever discovered. He was older than the pyramids, older than Stonehenge. A man who had died thousands of years ago, frozen in time. The world was about to meet C.I. the Iceman. Scientists flocked from all over to study this incredible find. His skin, his organs, even the contents of his last meal were still intact. They were able to reconstruct his final days with astonishing detail. But as they examined the body, a darker story emerged. They found an arrowhead lodged in his shoulder, deep cuts on his hands and wrists, and evidence of a severe head injury. This wasn't a peaceful death. Sai hadn't simply frozen in a storm. He was hunted, attacked, and left to die alone on that frozen mountain. And for 5,300 years, his body stayed there, locked in the glacier, a silent witness to his own murder, until we brought him out. And that's when the strange deaths began. The first person to die was one of the hikers who found him, Helmut Simon. Years after his historic discovery, he returned to the same area to hike alone. He never came back. A massive search was launched, but for days, there was no sign of him. Finally, his frozen body was found at the bottom of a ravine, buried in snow and ice, in almost the exact same contorted position as CIE when he was discovered. The locals began to whisper. They said that by disturbing the Iceman's long slumber, a curse had been unleashed. It was just the beginning. The next death was the head of the mountain rescue team who had recovered Helmut Simon's body. He suffered a sudden, fatal heart attack just an hour after attending Simon's funeral. The molecular biologist who was leading the DNA analysis on CI died suddenly of a rare blood disease. 6 people, then 7, all directly connected to Cece's discovery or the subsequent research. All dead within a few years, many in strange and violent circumstances. The coincidences were piling up too high to ignore. One of the men who died was killed in a freak avalanche during a ski trip. He was an experienced guide, and he was the only person on the mountain killed that day. The press called it the Curse of Sai. The story spread like wildfire. Some believed that T.S. Sai was a powerful shaman murdered in an ancient ritual, and disturbing his body had awakened a violent spirit seeking revenge. They argued that these weren't just accidents. They were punishments from an ancient power that had been disrespected. Each death seemed more bizarre than the last, adding fuel to the legend of the cursed mummy. Of course, modern science dismisses the idea of a curse. Skeptics point out that hundreds of people have worked on CI over the years, and the vast majority are still alive and well. They argued that the deaths, while tragic, are statistically insignificant and can be explained away as unfortunate coincidences. After all, accidents, heart attacks, and illnesses happen, but the stories have had a lasting impact. Many researchers now reportedly refuse to work with Cece's remains, spooked by the persistent legend. Today, CIE is kept in a specially designed, climate-controlled chamber at the South Tyrol Museum of Archaeology in Italy. He's sealed behind bulletproof glass, where the temperature is kept at exactly -6 degrees Celsius and the humidity at 99%, perfectly replicating the glacial conditions that preserved him for 5 millennia. It's as if they're trying to put him back to sleep. So, was it a curse, unleashed from a 5,000-year-old tomb? Was it just a string of macabre coincidences, blown out of proportion by the media? Or was it something older, something ancient that simply didn't want to be woken up? What would you do if the dead reached out from 5,000 years ago and asked to be left alone? Thanks for watching, and if you enjoy diving into mysteries like this, make sure to subscribe.